What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today we'll be doing part 1 of taking every top 5 UFC fighter and saying if they're underrated, overrated, or perfectly rated. Now, today I'll just be doing the flyweight all the way up to lightweight division. Next time it'll be welterweight to heavyweight, so be on the lookout for part 2. But let's get into this. Now, first up, Alexandrepantoja, slightly underrated, man. This is a guy who, yes, he's one of the best flyweights of all time. Yes, he has 4 title defenses. Yes, he has 5 title wins. That being said, there were times last year before his loss to Van where people would put out like a pound for pound top 15 fighters list and they would leave this guy off somehow. I mean, this is a guy who, yes, he's not Demetrius Johnson with 11 title defenses, but he's very clearly one of the best flyweights of all time. I mean, last year there was a stat where I saw that he had like 9 wins over top 10 guys in his own division. He's beat manelkape, Royval twice. He's beat Kai Kara-France twice. Granted, once was outside the UFC. He's beat Moreno twice. I mean, this is a guy that, he's lapped his division. I mean, to be left off pound for pound top 15 list, to fight 6 times for a belt and only headline 2 of those times, that's fucked up. I think the only reason that they're giving him 331 is because Joshuavan has a lot of personality. He's a huge fan favorite. I mean, it's also a rematch that goes into it as well, but I don't understand why Pantoja doesn't get as much love as he deserves. So, like I said, 4 title defenses. I mean, he's lapped his division. He's one of the best of all time. He is, when I say one of the best, I don't mean like top 3, top 5, but he is up there. One of the best flyweights of all time. That's for damn sure. But people constantly leave him off of their top 15 pound for pound list, even before the injury. He's only headlined 2 main events before 331, so slightly underrated in my opinion. Next up, manelkape, slightly underrated as well. I mean, this is a guy who he's on a 4-fight finish win streak. Just beat Horiguchi, who he was losing to, I will say. He was losing before the knockout, so that is worth mentioning. That being said, he's really only lost to the best of the best. I mean, he's lost to Pantoja. He has lost to Horiguchi once before. He has lost to Muhammad Mokaev, who is no longer in the UFC, but obviously like one of the biggest what ifs of all time. Muhammad Mokaev he's a very talented fighter. Would have loved to see how he would have played out in the UFC. That being said, 4-fight finish win streak. He's next up for the belt after Joshuavan versus Alexandrepantoja fight. So he is slightly underrated in the sense that I don't know, he has I think 7 losses maybe on his record. Granted, in the UFC he's lost to Muhammad Mokaev and Pantoja, but he is next up for the fight for the belt, so you got to factor that in. I'll say he's slightly underrated. Brandon Royval, I'll say perfectly rated. Now, this is a guy that he has fought for the belt once before. If he had never fought for the belt, I'd say underrated. But he has fought for the belt. He's got some great wins. I mean, he's beat Brandon Moreno once before. He's beat Kai Kara-France. He has beat Tatsurotaira, who just fought for the belt and had a dogfight with Joshuavan. That being said, he is 3 for 6 in his last 6 fights. I mean, he pulled off the win over Kavanaugh, but he's lost to manelkape. He's lost to Joshuavan at 317. What else? He's 3 for 6. I know he's lost to Kopp, lost to Joshuavan. He beat Kavanaugh. I'm blanking on who his 3rd loss was, but like I said, he is 3 for 6 in his last few fights. He's kind of cemented himself, not necessarily as a gatekeeper, I'll say. He is ranked number 3, but he's not, he needs at least one more win to be in the conversation to fight for a belt. And I don't think he's beating Joshuavan, manelkape, or Alexandrepantoja. So I'll put him in perfectly rated. Tatsurotaira, perfectly rated for a different reason. I mean, this is a guy who, last year I saw that when he fought Van for the belt, these were the first 2 guys born after the year 2000 to ever fight for a belt. Van's 21. Tyra's between 24 and 26. 2 young guys. I mean, Tyra, he is a beast. I mean, he has only lost to Joshuavan and Brandon Royval. Tyra, he had a dogfight with Joshuavan. He took him down very easily in the first round. Opportunities to go for submissions, didn't get him. In the later rounds, in the championship rounds, he was showing heart. I mean, Van was fucking him up, but he was still showing heart, staying in the fight. He's going to make the adjustments and the necessary improvements, and he's going to come back. He's going to fight for a belt again. Like I said, very young, extremely talented, great resume. Fought for the belt once already, will fight again. perfectly rated. Also, Almabayev, I will say he is perfectly rated because he is the number 5 ranked flyweight in the division. There was a time where not let me rephrase. Perfectly rated. Now he's the number 5 ranked guy. Doesn't have any crazy wins in the UFC. I know he's that crazy win over Johnson with the Suloev stretch. That's a great win. That being said, outside of that, his only other real win of note in the UFC is Alex Perez. Also Mabayev, he was on a 17 fight win streak. If you go from his his pre-UFC and in UFC fights, if you combine those, he was on a 17 fight win streak. But he's number 5. He needs at least one more win to fight for a belt. He needs at least one more, possibly against Horiguchi, maybe against like the loser of Pantoja versus Van. That being said, he's not going to fight for a belt next. He needs at least one more win. And he flies under the radar. Like I said, he's number 5, but he doesn't have any crazy wins of note, in my opinion. He's not beat a Royval, a Kopp, a Horiguchi. He's not beat anybody that gets you in the title talks just yet. So I'll say perfectly rated just for now. Merab is perfectly rated. Merab is possibly the bantamweight GOAT. I fucking love Merab. I talk about him pretty frequently. 50-45 Dion. He beat O'Malley twice, once by submission. He beat Corey Sandhagen. The record for most takedowns landed in a fight is 21. Merab hit 20 against Sandhagen in that fight at 320. That same fight, he set the record for most takedowns landed in a career. Beat Umar by decision. Umar we're going to talk about him in a second, so we'll get into that. Now, he had 3 title defenses in 10 months. I mean, this is a guy who, lost to Peter Yan, got 50-45. Maybe it's 49-46. I don't remember. I saw that fight almost, it was like 9 months ago. That being said, Merab is, he gets an immediate rematch after that because of his resume. It's so extensive. I mean, this is a guy who, he beat Henry Cejudo. This is a guy that is perfectly rated when you say that he gets an immediate rematch and he's possibly the bantamweight GOAT. Next up, Umar. I will say he's perfectly rated in the sense that Umar, let me think about it for a second. Umar has beaten Sandhagen, Mario Batista. He's set to fight Song Yadong. He's beat Hani Barcelos, finished Hani Barcelos, which is aging pretty well. He's beat Davison Figueiredo past his prime. Now, he's going to fight Song Yadong. We'll see how he does there. He's a heavy favorite in that fight, like minus 400, minus 450. I don't remember exactly. Umar is perfectly rated. He did get a title shot. I think he got 6 wins in the UFC to get that shot. Did take Merab to a decision, which I guess isn't really a huge deal. Everybody outside of O'Malley in their second fight goes to a decision with Merab. That being said, he did steal a round or two off of Merab, which is more than a lot of people can say. So I will say perfectly rated. Will more than if he beats Song Yadong this Saturday, then he will fight for a belt next. Whether it's if Yan wins, Yan will probably fight O'Malley, and then Umar's up next. Excuse me. And then if Merab beats Yan, they'll probably do Merab versus Umar too. So Umar, with this win over Song Yadong, is fighting for a belt for a second time, deservingly. So I will say he's perfectly rated. Sean O'Malley, man. Sean O'Malley, let me think about Sean real quick. Sean is a former champion. He beat Aljamainsterling, knocked him out. And then he defended against Marlon Vera, which I don't rank too well. Lost by decision to Merab. Sorry, not Umar. And then got submitted by Merab. Came back and had a decision with Song Yadong, which was pretty controversial at 324. And then he had a finish win over 37-year-old Ayman Zahabi, which that fight should have never been booked. It should have been O'Malley versus Sandhagen. So I will say O'Malley is slightly overrated in the sense that, since losing to Merab, I keep referring to Merab as Umar, he got the belt off of Aljo, defended against Marlon Vera Cheeto, and then he lost to Merab, gets an immediate rematch, undeservingly in my opinion, loses even worse, gets submitted this time, gets a controversial win over Song Yadong. I'm not saying undeserving win, but controversial for sure, and a decision win. And then he beats 37-year-old Ayman Zahabi, and now he's calling for a title shot. O'Malley is slightly overrated. That's just my 2 cents on that. Mario Batista, let me think about. He's lost to Umar. he had a nice win over Vinicius Oliveira in the Apex this year. That was the main event. It was a good fight. Um, he has beat Sandhagen. He's number what, 1, 2, 3, 4 in the division. I will say he is perfectly rated in the sense that, well, no, you know what? He's not really talked about because Merab and Yan have to fight. If Merab wins, they'll probably book Umar, and then if Yan wins, they'll probably book O'Malley. He's not really being talked about. Lost to Umar, so he's behind Umar for sure. But he has wins over Oliveira and Sandhagen. So I will say I'll say he's perfectly rated as the number 4 guy. But one more win, he needs to be in title talks. One more win puts him up there. And then Corey Sandhagen, at this point in time, he's slightly overrated as the number 5 guy. I mean, this is a guy who lost to Merab, which I don't blame him for, but he's also lost to Petryan. He's lost to Mario Batista. He's lost to Petryan, Merab, Mario Batista. He's lost to Umar. His last win is over Davison Figueiredo over a year ago, and that was a Davison Figueiredo past his prime. So Corey being number 5 with that resume surprises me. Yan was a while ago, I will say that, but he's lost to Batista at 329, lost to Umar. I don't remember exactly when it was. He lost to Merab at 320. I mean, this is to have all these losses. Your last one was Figueiredo past his prime, and be number 5. That's slightly overrated. Movsar is perfectly rated in the sense that, I mean, the guy is 20-0. He's undefeated. A lot of people hate on him because he has a low finish rate. That's fair. His finish rate is like 35%. He's got like 7 finish wins out of 20 wins. He hasn't had a finish in like 8 years. I think his last one was either 2018 or 2019. So it's a very valid criticism. That being said, he's beat Aljamainsterling, Lerone Murphy, who was 17-0. Lerone was on like Lerone was 17-0-1. He's got a draw on his resume. He was like a 9-fight win streak. So Movsar snapped that 9-fight win streak. Gave him his first loss. He's beat Aljo. He's beat Diegolopes. He's fighting for a belt, which is deserving. So I'll say perfectly rated, not underrated. The guy's 20-0. Everybody knows that, and not overrated because everybody says that he has a very low finish rate. So Evloev is Movsar. He's perfectly rated. That's crazy. I mixed up Movsar and Merab. Diegolopes, man, from the UFC's perspective, this guy is overrated, but from the fan perspective, perfectly rated. Now, Diegolopes got that undeserving rematch against Volkanovski. They should not have fought at 325. I don't know why the fuck that was booked. That being said, he is he lost a round to John Silva and then finished him. He was getting pieced up by Steve Garcia at Freedom 250 and then finished him. I mean, he's lost to Movsar, who's fighting for the belt, which is not a bad loss at all. He didn't deserve that second title shot, but other than that, his resume is pretty decent. I mean, I say perfectly rated. The fans, I feel like, see him for who he is, but the UFC they keep pushing him for some reason. I mean, I'm surprised he's not headlining UFC Noche this year. So I will say Diegolopes, from a fan's perspective, is perfectly rated. Now, Lerone Murphy, let me think about Lerone. I said he had a 9-fight win streak before Movsar snapped it. His only loss is to Evloev, who's fighting for the belt. He has beat Aaron Pico. He's beat Aaron Pico, Josh Emmett, Dan Ige, who, those aren't great. The Pico win is good. I give him the Pico win. That's aged well. Josh Emmett, not really. Josh Emmett got submitted by Zalal in like 20 seconds at UFC 320. Got destroyed by Ilya. I don't even know. There was, 1 or 2 10-8, 10 rounds in that fight. I mean, Dan Ige, I don't put a whole lot of stock into that win specifically. So I will say, I mean, he was 17-0-1, 9-fight win streak. I gotta say, if he had beat Movsar, he'd be fighting for the belt deservingly. So I'll put him in perfectly rated. Now, yeah, if he won that fight, he would have fought for a belt. Perfectly rated. Aljamainsterling, now, Aljo is slightly underrated. This guy has beat who? He's beat Aljo. He has beat TJ Dillashaw. He's beat Cejudo. Beat Petryan. He just beat Yusuf Zalal in a dominant performance. He's lost to Evloev. Who else? Lost to O'Malley, who defended his belt. Aljamainsterling ranked number 4 at featherweight. One more win could get him if he were to beat Murphy or Silva, or say Silva loses at Noche and he beats who is Silva's or who is Yair's replacement? It's man, who's replacing Yair at Noche? It's Jose Ochoa, right? Jose Ochoa or Delgado. Next up, Aljamain Sterling. Aljamain, I will say, is slightly underrated. Now, Aljo has beat just beat Yusuf Zalal, dominant performance. He has beat TJ Dillashaw. He's beat Henry Cejudo. He's beat Peter Yan, the current bantamweight champion. He lost to O'Malley. O'Malley, former champion who defended fine. He's lost to Evloev. Okay. He's beat Brian Ortega. If he beats Lerone Murphy, or who else could he beat? If he beats Lerone Murphy, not Arnold Allen coming off of his win over Costa, but if he beats Lerone Murphy, if he beats John Silva, if he wins at Noche, then he could very well be fighting for a belt. Like whether, Volk wins, Evloev wins, whoever. If Evloev wins, then you can do a rematch. If Volk wins, then they can fight. I definitely think Aljamain is slightly underrated. Yeah, I'll put him there. Next up, Arnold Allen. Arnold Allen's weird because his best win is a finish win over Dan Hooker. Like he's also beat Calvin Kattar. He just beat Melquizael Acosta, or Costa, not Acosta. I mean, he's got some decent wins, but he doesn't have any crazy wins. But to be fair, all of his losses are against guys that either, fighting for a belt, or they're either going to fight for a belt, they were a champion in Max Holloway, or, they're in title talks like John Silva. Like he lost to John Silva at 324. John Silva is, especially if he wins his fight at Noche, he's in title contention. He would have been if he beat Diego Lopes. What else? He's lost to Max Holloway, former featherweight champion. Max has only lost to the best of the best. We'll get into that later. He's lost to Evloev, who's fighting for a belt. So I will say Arnold Allen is, I don't know. He's lost to the best of the best, but he's also, like I said, what is his best win? I mean, he just beat Costa. He's beat Calvin Kattar and Dan Hooker. I don't know how highly I rank those wins, so I'll just put him in perfectly rated for now. Next up, we're in lightweight, one of my favorite divisions, probably my second favorite division. Iliatopuria, perfectly rated. Iliatopuria. Now, I will say, I think his Volkanovski win is overrated only because he knocked him out 3 months after Islam did it or something like that. I think Islam and Volk fought in October, and then he fought Volk in February. I think he knocked him out 3-4 months later. That being said, everything else, I mean, his Holloway win, amazing. Oliveira, yes, Oliveira has a glass chin, gets dropped every single fight. He dropped him in the first, in under half of a round, in less than the first 2 minutes 30 seconds, knocked out Oliveira. Dropped him. Oliveira stood up, dropped him again, knocked him out cold. So, Ilya, I mean, yes, the Gaethje loss sucks. It does put a little bit of a damper on your resume, but he's a 2-division champion. I mean, he was undefeated. He was 16-0. Ilya is he's definitely perfectly rated. People see him as one of the best of all time, one of the best lightweights currently. Yeah, that's fair. That's very fair. Especially when you factor that all three dudes that he beat, they were all champion. I mean, Volk was he was the pound for pound number 1 at some point. Is the featherweight champion, was at the time. Holloway was a featherweight champion and a BMF champion. Oliveira is now a BMF champion, was the lightweight champion. So, great wins. Those three especially. Also, like I said earlier, beat the dog shit out of Josh Emmett. So, Armantsarukyan, this one fucking hurts me. I love Arman. I mean, I've seen him live twice. Granted, it was RAF. I really like Arman as a fighter. I like him as an internet personality. I'm gonna put him in slightly overrated only because, yes, he just finished Dan Hooker. If he knocks out, not knocks out, or yeah, I guess, if he submits or knocks out Rufi, I'll put him in perfectly rated. Now, that being said, even though I have him in slightly overrated, I think he should have fought for the belt by now. I think that, he had a shot at 311, pulls out. Dana tells him, hey, if you make weight for 317 as the backup, you're back in my good graces. Arman does that, no problem. And then they don't give him the shot. They make him fight Dan Hooker, finishes Dan Hooker. And then what they do, they give the fucking interim shot to Paddy and Gaethje, bro. At the time, it should have been Arman and Holloway. Replace, either Gaethje or Paddy with Arman or Holloway. I would have been happier. but it should have been Arman versus Holloway for the interim belt. But they did Arman fucking dirty. Yes, he pulled out of 311, but he made weight for 320 or 317, fought Dan Hooker and Cutter, finished him in the second round, and then they turned around and gave the interim shot away to Gaethje and Paddy, which was fucked up. But Arman, even though I think he should have fought for a belt already, and yes, I think he re-earned his title shot, and he doesn't even need to fight Rufi, I will say slightly overrated because his best win is, I mean, yes, he finished Dariush, nothing crazy. Yes, he finished Dan Hooker, nothing crazy. Yes, he beat Oliveira, but there were two different rounds where Arman was caught in submissions that the bell saved him. Once the short saved him, the short slipped off. And he was able to get out of Oliveira's guard, but had certain things played out a little differently, then Oliveira may have very well won that fight. And I say this as somebody that likes Arman more than Oliveira. Arman could have lost that fight. So Arman is slightly overrated. That being said, I love him. If you ever get the chance to see him compete live, go do it. It's great. And I think he should have fought for the belt. Still slightly overrated. Next up, Max Holloway. Or sorry, not Max Holloway. Charles Oliveira. Charles Oliveira. Yes, he has that reputation as a guy that was a bit of a quitter, came back, locked in, won the belt. He's got wins over Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje, now Max Holloway. He's lost to Ilya. He's lost to Islam in recent history. He's beat Michael Chandler twice. Like I said, Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier, Chandler twice, Max Holloway as well. I will say that, unlike somebody who's like Silva, who went on a bad losing streak at the end that kind of tainted their reputation, I would say that Oliveira losing a lot towards the beginning doesn't really hold him back. So I'll say Oliveira, people have him as the third best lightweight of all time. I can see that. I can get with that. I don't think that all of his losses, and remember, he started at featherweight, so I don't think all of his losses really hold him back, especially when, in recent history, he's only lost to the best Islam Ilya, and then his wins, mostly finishes, are over guys that are like top tier lightweights. So I will say Oliveira perfectly rated. Max Holloway. Max Holloway. He has a lot of losses on paper, but I mean, he's got fucking 2 to Poirier, 3 to Volk. That's 5 right there. 1 to Ilya, 6. 1 to Oliveira, 7. 1 to Bermudez, that's 8. That was way early in his career. And it was a split decision, I believe. So Oliveira's really only lost to the best of the best. But what are his best wins? I mean, he's got the win over Gaethje is solid. The win over Poirier was near retirement. There's an argument that he beat Volk in their second fight, I believe. Let's see. His first win over Oliveira, like his first fight with Oliveira, the win, I don't really rate that too well. Oliveira, they said I forget what it was, his trachea or something. He got injured. Granted, Holloway likely gave him the injury in the fight. Holloway. The McGregor win recently doesn't fucking count for anything. I want to say slightly overrated. I know he held the belt. I know he beat Jose Aldo. I know he defended his belt. Lost to Volk, who is arguably the featherweight GOAT. It's either him or Aldo. Beat Gaethje. Lost to Poirier a few times. But people don't really put him in like their top 10s, though. People don't put all of the Holloway in their top 10s. People don't really say that Holloway can beat, like, I haven't seen anyone saying that Holloway is going to beat Ilya. I haven't really seen anybody say that, he can beat Islam, because Holloway wants to talk. He's talking about moving up and fighting Islam. No one's really entertaining that. So I will say perfectly rated. Even though he has a lot of losses on paper, fans can kind of like see through his bullshit a little bit. Where'd he go? Where did I just put Oliveira? Where'd he go? Where'd he go at the front? Okay, so yeah. I will say he's perfectly rated. And then finally, Paddypimblett. Paddy arguably lost to Jared Gordon. Beat Michael Chandler past his prime, obviously. Beat King Green, which aged well. Beat who else? Who else has he beat? He's beat Tony Ferguson past his prime, obviously. So none of those really they don't really do much for me. The Gaethje loss, it was good. It was like a 3-2 decision or 4-1. Paddy kept it competitive at times, but lost. He has that win over BSD recently at 329. That's a great win. I really like that for Paddy, but I will say Paddy is slightly overrated in the sense that his best win is BSD, who, I mean, yes, BSD has beat Hooker and Rufy both, but like, other than that, his next best win, what would you say it is? I mean, King Green, that's almost 40 years old now. Fucking, and King Green's beating on who? Jeremy Stevens and Daniel Zellhuber. I mean, I don't know, a Michael Chandler finish that Michael Chandler is on like a 4-fight losing streak. I mean, who would you say Paddy's best win outside of Benil Dari, or sorry, BSD is? Who would you say it is? Tony Ferguson on a 6-fight losing streak? Like, Paddy's wins are, I don't know. His wins aren't anything crazy. I think his loss to Gaethje, I low-key think that is better than any of his wins outside of fucking Benoit Saint-Denis. If that, I know that sounds kind of crazy to say, but like, I think going the distance with Gaethje, especially after Ilya could not do so, I think that's honestly a better accolade than beating Tony Ferguson on a 6-fight losing streak, beating fucking 38-year-old Bobby Green, beating Michael Chandler. Like, I don't think any of those wins are too crazy. So Paddy, I will say, is slightly overrated because I'll be honest with you, BSD, Holloway might fuck him up. Oliveira is definitely getting his ass. Pause. Arman is gonna whoop his ass. Ilya would whoop him. So like, anybody in the top 5 is beating BSD anyway. So I don't rate that win too high. But this is my list. Pretty decent bell curve, and obviously nobody in the top 5 is gonna be extremely underrated or overrated. So I think this is solid. Let me know what you guys think if you'd move any around. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and be on the lookout for part 2.